Scott Lawton was just a maintenance day today.
Yeah.
Felix Sandstrom was not out there. Is he okay?
Sick.
Sick.
Yeah. So I can tell him that he won't be on the trip.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you'll call up
Urson. Yeah. That shit's running around, so he's got it.
Going back to Scott for a second. Now that you guys obviously aren't fully healthy, you still guys missing, but you guys are getting players back. He's one of the guys you got back, but for pretty much his entire career with this organization before you got here, he was kind of a Swiss Army knife. He played a lot of different roles. Where, now that the roster's sort of filling in close to what it should be, do you sort of envision liking him to play?
Yeah, he's still that for me, where I could bounce him around in the lineup. I think he's done a great job killing penalties, using them on face-offs. It's such a good thing for a coach to be able to use him as a wing, center, top six, grinding. I guess I'm explaining it's the same thing you just said. It's a little bit of that. I think I hold him in higher regard than a grinder. I think he brings so many intangibles to us. So I consider him a very important part of the team. But he is going to be, if I think in the top six, like the two lines we have right now, if there's a struggle, I wouldn't hesitate to put him up there to try to spark something. That's what he is for me. He's a guy I look for when it needs a jolt or to watch over something, to help a guy, help a kid. He's a huge part of the organization.
John, you talked about playing the kids before the season, and you guys are very much playing young players right now.
Mm-hmm.
But how important is it not just to play them, but put them in situations where they're going to grow, situations where they're going to fail and also succeed?
Yeah, that's how the process works, and there's some encouraging things as far as some of the spots they have been put in. I try to temper myself because I think there are potholes too. You think some of them have got it figured out, but then you realize when you play a set of games they really haven't. But that's one thing that happened with all the injuries. It force-feeded some guys in there that maybe I'm not sure if they would have gotten all these minutes. So we're going to continue going with that, and like some really, really good things happen with players, and there's some inconsistency with others.
Both Cates and York said that they're encouraged, they get confidence by the fact that they're not as concerned about making mistakes, that you've given them a little bit of latitude here to make plays and so forth. That builds confidence.
Yeah, it's not – mistakes are part of the game. We got a saying down there, basically paraphrasing, don't worry about the mistakes, just worry about the risk at times. And that's – risk to me is situational play, and I've been saying it a lot lately here because we have so much to learn in that part of the game. Mistakes are part of the game. If you're making mistakes, then you're not treading water. You're trying to make a difference. That's the way I feel about it. I want these guys to try to make a difference, and we'll punch out the mistakes along the way. But I want them, if they make a mistake, I want them to go back and try to make that play if we consider it the right play. Although they failed at it one time, I want them to go back to it. That's where I see, we talk about Cam, not so much mistakes, and it's just I think York has come back up here and he's trying to make a difference where he just lied in the weeds for me throughout camp and throughout exhibition and all that. I didn't even know who he was, and that's where I think the biggest difference is his game. That's what I'm looking for the kids to do.
Said this dates back to your very first press conference with us, where you said that you think it's a misconception that you're too old school and whatnot, that you only care about defense and things like that. But right or wrong, that it can be a perception for players that they think that's who you are.
Yeah.
Do you see that where sometimes it takes guys a little bit to realize that you're not actually like that?
Yeah. I think there's always a I think it takes a little time with me. I think it takes time with me with the players, and I think players to me too. And I don't know why, because we're me and my coach, we're pretty much up front as far as how we handle them and the honesty that we bring to them. But yeah, you kind of get put in a box sometimes as a coach as what they think that coach is, I guess, and I think the players have to work through that. And I think we've gone through that through most of the organization. We've been here long enough, all of us, all the new coaches, and I think I'm hoping the relationship grows. I still think there's a lot of work to do in growing those relationships with all the players. There's so many we deal with, but I think we're on the right road there. At least my opinion is that, and some players may think differently.
Did you get the sense at the start of the year that maybe some guys were too tight? Like Noah said that, I think about 10 games in, I think it was after the St. Louis game, where he basically said that he felt like the team was making more plays now because, the coaching staff had started to hammer into them that, you don't have to be scared to make a play.
Yeah. I think it takes time. I think I think every player thinks if you make a mistake, the coach is going to lean on you, and with me, I think even more so because of listen, I've made mistakes along the way, but I think there's a reputation that what people think I am as a coach. I don't agree with it. I can't fight the perception of it all. They have to experience me as a coach to understand what I am as a coach, and I hope it's in a positive way. I'm going to coach. My job is to coach, and I'm going to push and try to make you the best player you can be, and quite honestly, the best person you can be while you're doing this job. And stuff happens through that way, but I just want them to know that mistakes is part of it. That's part of growing, and no one suffers because of one mistake. You're going to get coached on it. It's as I've said, when it's repeated and there's maybe some stubbornness that you're not looking to get by that mistake, that's when there's some problems. And but most of the guys have been really good that way. Very coachable, a lot of our guys.
Kind of changing gears real quick. It seems like, you mentioned Cam, it seems like he's kind of established himself, for now at least, as a nightly starter.
Mm-hmm.
Are you sort of falling into a rhythm here where Bronner and Sealer are kind of in something of a rotation?
Probably, yeah, because we like them both, but it goes back to the winning and the building and all that. I think they fall into that category. I'm not sure who was asking me just the other day about winning. It was last night, I think, that players want to win. I got to be really careful and walk a fine line there, and I want to give them the best opportunity to win, but also they have to respect the fact that the organization is going through a transition here, and that's kind of where we're at. And I do think that's where Bronner and Seals fall, and they're going to play. They've been great soldiers, and but Cam comes in here. There's also a couple other young defensemen down there that we're going to have to look at here and give an opportunity, and that's kind of where we're at.
We've talked a lot about talent level here. Now you guys could probably use more high-end talent, but do you like some of the young talent here where you think you can kind of build a foundation and eventually get there?
Yeah. I think we're building a foundation on how to play and what's expected of the standard of how we play. I think that's growing. Tip is, he's fluctuated, but he's kind of back at it now. Frosty's been the same way. I think we have to get better with skill. I do. I mean, I'm not talking on attorney. I'm not trying to be the general manager. We have to get more skill here. Where those guys fall as we continue to build, and it's not building the next couple of months. This is going to be a couple of years where the skill comes into play. That's where it all falls into place. Is Frosty done enough, and does he continue to grow over the next year or the end throughout this year? We feel that's a big part of our skill level, or do we need to look elsewhere? This is all ever fluent as we're going through here, and that's why I'm happy for Frosty, because I think he's finding some more consistency. But I still don't know what the answer is there with him as far as where he falls. We still have to wait that out.